What's up, everybody? It's your host with the most, D Bird, coming back at your face to talk about our favorite show, fucking Survivor. DJB, tell them what's up.
I am very excited, but I cannot match your enthusiasm. But maybe as the show progresses, I'll get on your level.
I mean, this was a doozy.
It was a doozy. I felt like now we're off and running. Last week was like that bridge episode, and I'm like, the game is afoot, as the kids
game's
say.
afoot. Yeah, the kids who just happened to be born in 1823 Victorian England. The game's afoot. Yeah,
exactly. Those are the kids I relate to.
It's yes, with your collared shirt, clearly. Yeah. So I agree. I think we're finally off to okay. We're playing the game. Things are interesting. It's not just a wah. People are scared to make moves. Like this is happening. So last episode, Lavo got Keyshawn out, and we pick up while everyone's coming back to the camp. Teeny was blindsided, and she is just devastated. She's like, oh, fuck. Because she's the only one that wasn't in on the vote. And Saul, big heart, big dumb heart he has, turns to Rome and he says, hey, Rome, are you okay? Because Teeny wrote his name down.
Yeah.
And he says, little bit. Oh, no. And proceeds to grill Teeny in front of the entire tribe.
Yeah.
Because she wrote his name down. He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm real mad.
He's not good. He is not good. Like we talked about how everything was turning up Rome the first 3 episodes. And now things aren't turning up Rome, and his dumb play is going to continue to compromise him because that dude cannot help himself but to share his emotions and just be selfish and egocentric, and it drives me nuts.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, this is the archetype. Like, he's doing all of the things wrong. I can't think of a single thing that he did right. He did everything wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And he continues to. Like, he's compounding his mistakes over and over by just, like, being unwilling to think outside of himself, which has got to be exhausting.
And really all Survivor is reading the room and convincing people you're with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he does the exact opposite by basically isolating Teeny and roasting her in front of the whole tribe.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I think it is? I think he, like, senses weakness, like, oh, Teeny was on the out, so we're going to throw Teeny under the bus. Let's gang up on her. But what he doesn't realize is that by, like, stating the obvious all the time, it actually puts more of a mark on him because it's like, yeah, that's the plan. We're all aware that she's on the out. Like, we could count paper too. Like, why are we going to broadcast this and make it a bigger thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's a good point too, where it's like, that's all he's done. Like when Saul was on the bottom, he's like, yo, you're on the bottom. I got my whole crew, bro. Like, fuck this guy. I don't have to listen to anything you say. And it's like, no, that's the opposite because look what happened. 1 vote later, you're voting with the guy and you're like trying to work with him. So you never know what happens in Survivor. And it's a very like Survivor 1.0 way to think of it of let's stick with the same, 2-3 people in my core alliance the whole time. And what? You're going to go to the end with those 3? There's no way.
Well, that's the problem. Like anytime you paint a target on somebody else or you're like flamboyant about the fact that somebody is on the bottom of the hierarchy, like you're alienating yourself from a possible relationship down the road. He just happens to be lucky in this case that Saul's just a straight shooter and a good dude. Because if I were that guy, I'd be like, screw you, Rome. I remember what you've done for the last 2 weeks to me and I'm over, or however long it's been.
Remember when you followed me around and said, I don't have to not?
Yeah.
So yeah, Genevieve, basically this was her move to get Keyshawn out because she said he's the sneaky one that you don't see coming until it's too late. And she's right. I think she was right to do this. This was actually a smart move. I do respect it. And Rome says, my trust with Teeny's 100% broken, even though it wasn't broken when he said, "Hey, Teeny, you're my one. I have an idol." And she immediately ran to tell Keyshawn, and he caught them looking at it.
And then he did it again, right? Like
Yeah.
he doubled down on like so like I don't know. It's his own ineptitude that's brought him to this place, and I think it's ultimately going to be his downfall.
Yeah. So that's it for the that fucking crash landing that is that Lavo tribe. They're a shit show. Teeny feels like she's on the bottom. Next scene, it's game time. This is just for a reward. The players immediately notice there's a twist to this game. There's only spots for 2 tribes. And Jeff introduces a system. Everyone pulls rocks, and instead of 3 tribes, they split up randomly into 2 tribes and compete together just for a reward challenge. The reward being the winning team full of random people from all 3 teams get to go to a Survivor happy hour. They'll eat barbecue hot dogs, play cornhole, and just hang out with people from the other tribe to learn what's going on over there. What do you think about this twist?
I thought it was really interesting because at first I just assumed like, oh, this is the merge right here, and there's gonna be like maybe some castaways like in seasons prior, like, but yeah, it was kind of interesting that there was this melding of the tribes, but just for like a short, finite period of time.
Yeah.
And I thought the groupings were pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
You know, and like right away when Yellow Team came out, I was like, I kind of like the crew over there for Yellow.
Yeah. Both of our number 1s were over there.
Both of them were over there.
Rachel and Carolyn, what's up?
And they had their old lady. So, I mean, we were hitting on all cylinders.
They did. So we skipped ahead a little bit.
Sorry.
Going to describe it. This is actually a challenge that looked kind of fun. Like some of them, you're like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to like jump off a platform into the ocean and drown. Like there's no way I'm going to carry this fucking 50-pound chest across the entire length of the beach. This one, they just raced under like a little web thing to unhook a thing full of balls or keys, which then unhooked a ladder. You kind of wiggle it around as a team through this thing to make sure it's unstuck. You put the ladder up to then unhook a bag of balls, and you use those balls to then throw into makeshift basketball hoops,
which looked like fun.
It
did look like fun, man.
I was gonna ask you because you're a women's basketball coach, or you a lot of history in basketball. You coach basketball. How confident are you can nail those shots?
Oh, it's a bucket. I mean, put me in, coach.
It's a bucket. There was I was noticing Sam, so we'll kind of get to the end, but like, everyone kind of has their own strategy, and they have different lengths away from the baskets that they throw from, and different heights of the basket. So some are kind of ground level, some are medium, some are higher up. So it's like, the people that are most confident go last. And I saw him try a couple different throws. Like he did like the football throw for one of them. And then at the very end, when he makes it, spoiler alert, the Yellow Team wins, Sam's team gets to go. He kind of granny shots it, and it goes all the way up to the back middle. And I was just kind of thinking, I think I'd still do the basketball shot. Like it would just feel like a half court.
Right. I think I would too. Like even from deep, like when I shoot a long shot, even from half court, my form's still there. I might like take a step into it, but I still keep the same elbow hand position.
Right.
So I noticed that also, like, but he was kind of, he was between multiple sports. So maybe he just got his wires crossed. Because he went between like Joe Namath and Rick Barry. He couldn't tell if he wanted to play football or granny shot it.
Yeah. And, to their credit, the granny shots ended up going in, according to the edit. So in the end, it was close. Sam brought it home with a granny. Yellow Team won. The Yellow Team consisted of Rachel, Carolyn, Sue, Tiana, Teeny, Kyle, and Sam.
Mhm.
Teeny, on the way out, turns to the losers and says, "I'm sorry." Fuck that.
I don't like that.
I don't like it
Yeah.
either.
You know, show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. That's all I say.
I mean, we don't have to TK them where we're like, fuck losers. If you're on my team and you lost, fuck you. It's like, we don't have to go overboard. At the same time, like, it's so obvious she's pandering. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, get over it. Stop.
Why would you be sorry for being successful? Like, it makes no sense. It's so counterintuitive. No, just take your win. You don't need to showboat or like put on this big display, but just walk out and enjoy your food. You don't need to turn and like, to me, that would almost piss me off more if I was on the losing tribe. You're sorry?
Yeah.
Well, then why didn't you just throw it? Like, you're not that sorry.
You want, how about I take your place then? You're so sorry. How about I take your place? We can do that, right?
I'm not that sorry. I just thought it'd be a nice thing to say.
Yeah, fuck off. No, it doesn't make me feel better.
No,
I'm still starving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of food, this part was interesting. So they get there, they've got the barbecue going. There's a bunch of hot dogs on the grill. And Sue's like, Kyle, a veggie dog. And that's when we learn Kyle, this fucking redneck looking archetype, is a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And he's stoked. He's like, I've got something I can eat. Here's a veggie dog. Fuck yeah. Leaves. And I was just like, one, like, you got the archetype of like the redneck, but he's vegetarian. Mm-hmm. And two, how hard would Survivor be as a vegetarian?
You know, I don't think it'll be that crazy hard. Because
I mean, your rice and coconut, sure.
What about fish? I mean,
well, vegan would be harder than vegetarian, obviously.
Yeah.
Vegan, you can't do fish. Vegetarian, I believe most of them eat fish.
Yeah, it's just no red meat, right?
I mean, everyone has their own personal stuff, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I don't know.
Historically, I think you're right. No red meat.
So he's like a South Carolinian vegetarian, not a Malibu vegetarian.
I just feel like, you know, you're so dehydrated, you're so starved. It's like, I'll fucking eat the arm of my castmate. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like,
probably not going to be on the show.
Well, you just I've already put my application in. Jeff Probst, ignore that last line.
Well, if Probst is one of the 7 people who watches this, you're out.
Damn it. Damn it. I'm just saying, like, you get hungry out there and you need your calories to survive. You need protein to survive. Who was it? I think it was like Liz from last season who like literally lost every pound of body weight and strength because she was vegan and literally the only thing she could eat is Applebee's, but she sucked too bad at the challenges, so she never won anything anyways.
Right? Like the irony of like, I can't eat anything except for Applebee's. Like, wait, I have no dietary restrictions and I refuse to eat Applebee's.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, the diets that go on Survivor just crack me up. But Kyle gets his veggie dog, and then the game starts. Then they start talking about what's happening at the different tribes. Teeny basically tells everyone that the tribe voted without her, is viewing this as an opportunity to reset her standing and make some new connections. Sam and Rachel try to play like, oh yeah, our tribe is so close. It's so kumbaya. We go everywhere together. And people are like, really? And they're like, yeah, no, seriously, we go everywhere. And that's when Sue's like, well, you know, the only thing we've heard is you and Sierra are kind of running it.
Yeah.
So this little thing that Andy shared, because he was a dick and an idiot, has legs. Everyone thinks that Sierra and Sam are just bang mates.
Wow. Yeah. Taken aback a bit. Not that, but like they're not wrong either. Like they are in a tight 2. They're in a final 2 together. And Andy's that awkward third wheel that any AI robot would be, right? So like it makes sense. Like I don't get how Sam and Sierra like so flabbergasted by the concept that people understand they're close. It's like,
well, they thought it was a secret, but they trusted Andy. So
No.
like, no, it's not going to be a secret.
Andy, the guy who says, "I will not utter a word about the breadwinners," and then the very next scene, he's like, "Hey Sam, do you know the girls have an alliance called the Breadwinners?" And Sam's like, "Whoa, what's going on? How come my
Yeah.
number one didn't tell me this?"
Let's not forget, this is the same guy that fell down on a challenge. Like, I'm at the bottom because no one cheers when I crack a coconut. Also, my number one is I'm going to throw him under the bus. And people are like,
Yeah.
that's your number one? And you just want to throw him to save yourself? Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're right, because now when people get together, like, especially knowing that there's not a merge, I think they're a little bit more brazen in their line of questioning and just information finding. Because yeah, Sue did just blatantly say, like, "So what's up with you and Sierra?" And then and then Tiana's like, "Oh, at my tribe, you should see it. Gabe is a dick. He's running everything.
Yeah.
He's looking for idols all the time."
All
And
he
now
does is look for idols.
yeah, and so Sue's throwing people under the bus, and at the same time, she's like, "What the hell? That's my number one."
Yeah. Oh, Sue's face when Tiana brought up Gabe idol hunting and basically like, yeah, he's dangerous. Sue's face was so funny. Just like,
Well, you can't do anything to control it, right? Like, I, as much as everybody's trying to protect some facet of their game, they're also trusting people who are loose-lipped, whether it be Rome with Teeny or Sam and Sierra with Andy or Sue with Tiana. Like, the cat's out of the bag at every turn.
yeah, not one person can keep their shit close to the chest, except for my boy Sam. Well, actually, there's a few that can, and those are the ones we like.
Yeah. Caroline hasn't said a word.
Caroline.
Rachel's only stolen rice.
By the way, Caroline had one. Is it Caroline or Caroline?
I don't know. I'm going Caroline because I like the
Caroline.
yeah, little 3-stack song.
All right. Well, because of 3 stacks, it's Caroline for now. Caroline had my favorite line of probably the entire episode. While Sue is, throwing beanbags, Caroline's like, some people decided to go play a game of cornhole. I decided to continue playing the game of Survivor. It's like, yeah, girl. And so her and my number one, Rachel, and Teeny start talking and just kind of, saying like us, right? Like we're good. We all have good feelings and, just trying to form bonds outside of their tribe.
Yeah.
Which you have to.
Can you hear my dog chewing her bone behind me?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's
all right.
not so bad that I want to kick you out.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So I agree. That was an absolute bar by Caroline.
Caroline.
The opposite of that will be something that I want to share at the end of the episode, but it was a quote from Andy. And I just want to preface that so you remind me and I don't forget that at the end I have to share my favorite Andy quote from the week.
Favorite Andy quote. Okay, because I think I have some ideas, but yeah,
Okay.
we'll get into it. So back at Lavo, Saul and Rome go to talk. Rome immediately targets Teeny. Basically, the second she leaves, he's like, yo, she's out bonding with other tribes, belly full. Also she has this amulet she didn't tell you about. And Saul's reaction is, oh, fart. Like a fucking 5-year-old, right? Fart. Do you know anyone like above the age of 12 that uses fart?
No, if you said above the age of 5, I would have said yes, my 9-year-old. But no, I do not. And it was hysterical. And like Saul had this great awakening that like he knows nothing. Like I figured he would have had it last episode, but it took Rome breaking through to be like, yeah, I have no idea that the game's being played around me right now. I've just been in my own head. And like he admitted, he's like, I've been in sales for 20 plus years, and my entire career, my livelihood is based off reading situations and getting people to do what I want them to do. And I have no clue what's going on.
How funny is that? You're like, I thought I'd be better at this game based on all my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Rome immediately goes to Genevieve and kind of says his own spiel about getting Teeny out and, talking about, the conversation he had with Saul, painting it a little differently, being like, oh yeah, Saul is the one, saying these things, trying to get Teeny out. So Genevieve kind of fact checks, goes to Saul and is like, hey, they end up connecting. And he's like, no, that was Rome's idea. And also he told me that you don't want to work with me long term. And she's like, the fuck I don't.
Right? Well, like the way he said it, he's like, you got me, girl. You got me,
girl.
And she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And like, all roads lead to Rome. Oh, that actually sounded pretty smart. That should be in a history book. But seriously,
better than an indie line.
he just lies his way into like corners he doesn't need to be in, and now he's absolutely trapped again. And so the easy vote, of course, is just Teeny coming back if you go to council. But now he's painted a target on Teeny that didn't need to be painted any bolder. He's lied to Saul, and then he's come back and he was partially dishonest to Genevieve.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so who do you have, buddy?
So her face during the confessional was hilarious, just bone white. And she had a really cold ass line too. She's like, if he's not telling me everything, his value to me goes down and his danger level goes up. Them scales be tipping.
Scales be tipping. I told you, shrewd lawyer.
I thought about you and that exact line, shrewd lawyer.
Yeah. Like she's constantly weighing every situation. It's like, you're no longer of use to me. Boom, you're gone.
Well, that's why historically people that are lawyers did not share that. They'll just make up a different profession. Yeah. Because you're used to pitching your case, which is so vital when you're in the final tribal council. Mm-hmm. And you think of where the world in, okay, can you bring value to me? Can you not? You can just be cold and calculated. We're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be friends with you. And then done.
Yeah. Well, and I just think of like, not to bring like work stuff into it, but like if I need to consult like legal in my job, I know that I'm paying like $600 an hour. Yeah. So like the time that I'm spending with lawyer, or the lawyer's spending with me, it better best be time well spent. And like, so for her, she's probably calculating the same way on that island. Like if there's not a net gain from this conversation, why am I going to indulge in it? Like there's other things that I could do to move my needle forward, and I don't need you.
Yeah. That's a smart way to think of how she's probably looking at it. I guarantee it. But yeah, she realizes Rome, a little bit of a loose cannon. And then we go back to Gata. Basically, Sierra is out there suggesting just letting the chickens out of the cage because they just can't lay eggs. And he's like, won't they just run away as soon as we let them out? And yeah, they let them out anyways. And then I guess they won a fishing kit recently, a couple days ago, unopened. Have no clue how to use it. They kind of fumble with this net, and you're like, oh, Sam comes back. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah. And that's when they kind of come back and tell the team, how the excursion at the happy hour went, and that Sue is trying to paint him and they came back and they told the team, oh yeah, we didn't give him anything, blah blah blah. Sam tells Sierra separately.
Yes.
Sue picks up on the fact they're working together.
Yeah. And Sierra's like, what? How could they do that?
Yeah, so surprised. What?
They had you pinned as Ken and Barbie from like Jump, and you're gonna think that there's not some reasonable like connection of the dots between you two being together, and the fact that you're always having private conversations. Like
private conversation.
Oh jeez.
That's what Sue said. Allegedly. Yeah. So back at Lavo, Teeny comes back to camp, and oh my god, again she is pandering so fucking hard. She says, I'm not complaining, but everyone only got one hot dog. Oh, you got to get your dog? Speaking of dogs. Was that a scooter?
My
Was that a scooter?
my puppy replaced her bone and just ate the back of my kid's scooter
Yikes.
mid-show.
Yeah.
If there are
Puppy.
any dog trainers who would like to exchange Survivor talk for training, I'm happy to pay.
This is Survivor, so we do accept bargains. If you would like to trade one dog for, one hot 16, ask Cody Nash. I'm not taking care of a puppy.
I'm sorry. I left you halfway through and I feel so bad.
I stopped talking because I was like, no, I'm gonna bring this back up when he's back.
Yeah.
So I was just commenting on how Teeny comes back to Lavo, her tribe, and immediately starts pandering again. Just says, oh, I'm not complaining, but everyone only got one hot dog, no condiments, no potato salad in that.
Yeah.
Exact quote.
I don't think I'd want to hear that because I am still on rice.
Yeah, I've been eating fucking sand.
Exactly. Like, I don't care that there were no condiments. You still had protein.
Yeah, you had a hot dog, and you're complaining to me how you only had one? Fuck off.
And you gotta enjoy another part of the game, a phase that I didn't. And like for me, like just as a competitive person, that's more valuable than the food. Being able to interface with other people and forge bonds that can help you long term in the game. Like the last thing I want to hear about is like a pity party that you got something that I didn't get and you got opportunities that I didn't.
Yeah. So infuriating. And then she's like trying to tell her tribe what happened, right? Like, oh yeah, I told him that I was on the bottom and you guys all voted without me. She left out Rome stole a vote because who cares? But Rome in his confessional is like, man, that bitch didn't get nothing. She did. She is so pissed. She's like, yeah, she got no information. I was furious. I could have got way more. And it's like, maybe she's just not telling you. You ever thought of that?
I don't think he has because all he thinks of is things through his lens, right? Like, well, I think I'm going to do the challenge because I crushed the last two, even though I couldn't fit one puzzle piece in. Like, yeah, it's on me. But like, I don't think it ever gets through his head that like somebody could be withholding information from him. It's just he sees it as a failure and an opportunity that he lost out on that he could have done better with.
He could have done, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so he wanders off to go, swim off some steam. The second his back is turned, both Saul and Genevieve are like, Teeny, holy shit. The second you went on that adventure, he started freaking out. And they kind of tell Teeny that Rome spilled the beans on her amulet, is trying to throw under the bus. People want, he wants her out. And she's kind of like, yeah, I figured. Yeah. And so everyone kind of agrees that, Rome needs to fucking go, finally.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly I'm live and Bird is not. We will see how this plays. Oh, and he's back. I filled that time beautifully. Good. You would not even know that I panicked when you were gone. I was not like the child that got left in the grocery cart screaming for his dad. It's going to go over swimmingly.
Good. I knew you could handle it.
Yep. I have lost my puppy, though, so yikes city.
So all I was saying last, Rome gone, everyone agrees he sucks, he's chaotic, can't play with him. And you were saying something, what was it?
That I feel the exact same way. I do exactly what Genevieve and Saul did. If I were Teeny, I'd be all in the second I got back. If I heard that Rome got sketchy, I'd be like, yeah, that is sketchy. I'm with you 100%. And then I just stop the conversation because like we said before, once there's already a plan, you don't continue to broadcast it. You just let it lie.
Let it lie. Back at Tuku, Tiana, Kyle, Sue, Carolyn, a lot of people went on that happy hour. The first thing they say is, man, Lavo's a mess. Which, true. And then as soon as she can, Sue tells Gabe Tiana threw him under the bus. And Caroline,
Caroline.
smart, she's like, guys, what the fuck? We're so close to a merge. Don't fuck this up now. You can't like fight now.
Stay 5 strong. She's just looking at it like a numbers game. Like, hey, you could hate each other, but we need to be 5 strong. So when we go in, we have the advantage.
Yeah. So basically, she walks in on Sue tattling and be like, Tiana wants you out to Gabe. And I was like, oh, hey. What we're going to do is like, she probably didn't mean it. Like, let me go talk to her. She'll apologize. It's fine. She's trying to, herd these cats. And they just can't help themselves. So Carolyn, I'm going to call her Carolyn, goes to Tiana and says, again, smart is like not throwing Sue under the bus because her goal is to keep the tribe together. She says, hey, they'll probably figure out what you said. Once we get to the merge, it'll get out somehow. So why don't you just preempt that and apologize to Gabe ahead of time?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, never thought of that. Yeah, sure. So she goes to Gabe, says, yeah, in a private conversation between me and Rachel and Teeny, I let it slip you had an idol. And he's,
yeah, sure. Yep. Cool. Yeah. Like, but why try to minimize it? Like, I feel like adults do this all the time.
Yes.
Like, if you get caught, just admit you're caught. Don't try to like half tell the truth or minimize what happened. It wasn't a private conversation. It's going to get out that it's a private conversation. So now an apology is going to be even more disingenuous than it was already perceived to be. Yep. It's like, just say it. Like, hey, when we got there, I got caught up in the moment. I said something I shouldn't have said. This is what I said. This is who heard it.
So. TJB, you are a gem of a human. And yes, honesty is always the best policy. I was just talking to my girl about this, where it's like, okay, I've learned over the course of, all of my relationship history, if you try to lie, it's going to be way worse. Whether it's about your history or about anything, like just A, don't do bad. And B, if you do something that might disappoint your partner or whoever, or even in your head, you're like, they might not like this about me. Just fucking say it. And it's going to be way easier than if you just try to lie about it and then get caught later on.
Right. So my wife loves Judge Judy so much that she has a shirt that says only Judy can judge me. And we watch a lot of Judge Judy, unfortunately. But Judge Judy says this thing that is kind of stuck with me. She's like, if you don't lie, you don't have to have a great memory, right? Like, and I do not have a great memory, so I know I cannot lie according to the principles of Judge Judy.
Yeah, my memory sucks. So I'm the same way. It's just easier. So it was kind of crazy to see that fucking sociopath smile in her face. It was kind of funny because I could pick up what he was doing. Yeah, like almost sarcastically. But when he turned to her and he's like, don't worry about it, we're totally cool, and gave her a hug, that was some psychopath shit. Like you could see it in his eyes. He's like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah. Little birds. He's about to lead right off the cliff like a lemming.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lemming's a bird or not, but I feel like it's some foul.
Could be now.
Species.
Yeah. He's trying to do something foul indeed. And
look at the bird jokes. That nice pun.
Hey, rap life. So yeah, immediately afterwards, of course, he goes to Sue and she's like, no, that's not what happened. Spills the whole beans and he's like, I want to crush her survivor dreams. I want to watch her torch get snuffed out, smile while it happens, slit her fucking throat and make sure she never reproduces. I want to eat her organs and then shit on her corpse.
He didn't say any of those things.
He said the first part and then I exaggerated.
Is that what you gleaned from that one line? Now I'm worried about you. What are your dreams like, Bird?
Torch snuffed out and smile while it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wow, that got really dark really fast.
I'm just saying, guy's a psychopath. He was thinking the second part.
Well, I mean, you're saying it, so at some point it crossed your mind. Is your girlfriend safe right now?
You'll have to ask her.
Believe me,
If
I
you
wish I
can
could.
reach her. So then comes the challenge. Gata brings their chickens. They must have scooped them up after the girls let them out. They propose to trade to Jeff the 3 chickens for 2 dozen eggs. They haggle back and forth. They end up meeting in the middle at 18. So they get 18 eggs in exchange for the 3 chickens. That way, they don't have to be tempted to kill them or, try to collect the eggs that just drop and shatter. I can imagine how frustrating that would be if you're like starving and you're just like, what the fuck? Just can't catch it fast enough.
I think it'd be frustrating hearing chickens and just thinking food every time it moves.
Yeah.
I mean, I commend that. Might be one of the strongest plays of the game is for the pro chicken eaters to not eat chicken to appease the anti-chicken eaters. I don't know if I could do that if I was hungry.
It's a lot of strength.
Yeah, I'd be looking right through those feathers at those beautiful drumsticks and thighs.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think we talked about it last episode where it's like, you got to give Sam his props. He realizes like, fuck, I really want to eat these chickens, but if I do this, I'm fucked in the game. Like there's no coming back. They can't trust me. I guess we'll just sit and watch the eggs explode.
Along with your dreams.
Along with the dreams. So here comes the challenge. Basically, they drag this heavy net full of coconuts along the course. They collect sandbags and more coconuts. There's a puzzle that's vertical. It's just a puzzle wall. And you're throwing sandbags like a fucking baseball, trying to knock the pieces off. And then you race to reassemble the puzzle. And the first part of the station, in order to kind of get, the thing undone, there's this giant pole with a fucking blade that you have to saw up top, which drops the bag of coconuts. Well, Andy, because he's a goddamn robot and absolutely the worst at all challenges, starts sawing backwards and humping the air. And just whimpering and humping and fucking not making any progress because it's backwards.
And the whole time they were clapping, they're like, if I don't cheer for this guy, who knows what is going to happen?
He's going to turn around and stab me through the heart.
They're like, come on, Andy, you got it.
He was literally air humping that while moaning. It was so funny. Yeah, you send the kids to the room for that one. And then
but I will say, I don't know if you're going to get to this. No, Saul's got a cannon.
Oh, dude, yeah. Him and Sam had a fucking cannon too. But you're right, Saul was boom.
Yeah, good form. Yeah, he's World Series ready.
The issue though was Saul and Rome. I did put a note. Saul and Rome are throwing heat. Tiana soccer throwing like a weird, but gets a couple blocks off the top.
She did drag her back foot, so it's legal.
Yeah. I was like, man, have you never? I mean, even like underhand, like kind of fucking
no women's softball fast pitch.
I mean, whatever works. She knocked a couple blocks off the top, but if I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, you're not throwing anymore.
But Kyle was doing his thing. He was holding it down for him. Nice little sidearm action. Yeah, but that Tiana throw was wild.
Yeah, the soccer throw was crazy.
Imagine if TK saw that.
Oh, fucking loser. I did like, so because Andy was put them in a big hole, Jeff said Gata is still inexplicably working on the second stage. That was a fire roast. I like when he's throwing some jabs this season.
He is. I mean, it's all started with the scarecrow look. I didn't dress you, Teeny.
I didn't dress you. So Roman Saul had been like throwing heat, knocking blocks after blocks, but the issue is you have to get them all off of the platform, and there was a couple blocks that had just fallen barely off of the platform that were blocking the blocks that they needed to get off. So they'd hit the things on the bottom, but it would just run into another block and still stay on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually gave Sam and the yellow team a chance to catch up in that section. But ultimately, Tuku wins immunity. Lavo and Gata were tied going into the puzzle, and literally Lavo finished the puzzle a couple seconds before Gata.
Yeah.
And it was only because they had to race to the mat.
Yeah. Well, Saul fell backwards, which was funny.
That was... I
think
thought
it's funny
might
when
lose
people
it.
fall. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, if Saul fell and that's the reason they won, I'd love that.
Yeah, that would have been great. Even though I think I was ready for Gata to go to Tribal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen enough of Lavo at Tribal already. I wanted to see how it would play out with Gata, especially just knowing kind of where things were lining up with Andy, Sam, and Sierra all being tight. So I'm glad we got the outcome we did.
I am too. And meanwhile, Rome keels over crying. And he's like, never give up on Survivor. He's just like stoked that they finally get a Flint because all they do is lose.
Yeah.
So by a couple seconds, they are the winner, and Gata's going to the tribal council. And everyone starts kind of scrambling. Sam, it's like, Andy just can't get out of his own way in challenges. Let's be honest. He starts thinking about it. He's like, well, if it's that close, you start thinking it would be nice to saw that rope just a little bit faster. Instead of starting from backwards, air humping, what if you just cut the fucking rope like a human man instead of an AI generated imagination of a man?
But if an AI has never cut a rope with a saw on an extended blade, like they wouldn't know how to do it. And AI only learns by being exposed to something. So it took him a while before he had to reprogram to understand how to cut the rope.
Generating responses.
Yeah, exactly.
Collecting data.
If there's no knowledge base, you can't operate.
Oh, fuck. ChatGPT failed him. So, Annika, she's targeting Andy. Sam wants Annika gone because he can't trust her long term. Andy, he makes a pitch to Annika and Rachel.
So smart.
Saying, hey, I just need an extension. Like, if anyone can like give me any idea, like I will vote for you. I'm just a free floating number. I'm on the bottom. I'm just a little AI boy. Tell me how to vote. And they believe him. They say, ooh, who do we throw out to Andy as a name? Sam would be the most believable. And this is the name he's expecting. He says, yeah, they don't even know I set this all up. And kind of gives the play-by-play. Yeah.
I mean, I guess even a robot can get right every once in a while. Like, he was right. I mean, they took it hook, line, and sinker. It was what he needed. I don't know that he needed to do that necessarily because they already had a 3-2 vote regardless. But I guess it did prevent somebody from considering to use a shot in the dark. So maybe there was a little bit more credence to like having to make this masterful game move than what I thought. But I was kind of like, why do you have to say anything, Andy? Just say I'm at the bottom. Like, I don't think the outcome would have been any different.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's whatever Sam and Sierra want to do, right? They are in the perfect power positions. They could have gone with the girls, but they chose this way because Sam wanted it to be so. And let's be honest, the scenes that we saw of him and Sierra going back and forth, he was very convincing. He was very like, like using all the sales tactics. I was like, damn, this guy's real manipulative in the best Survivor way.
He is manipulative. Ultimately, I don't think it's the best for Sierra's game,
No.
but it definitely is for Sam's. So that was like you had two people on even plane, and Sam was able to manipulate his way to an advantage over Sierra. So I know they're final two, but at some point, someone's got to turn on someone else, or somebody has to convince the jury. And in that moment, Sam did enough to out leverage Sierra because I think if Annika had stayed, eventually Sierra would have understood that the writing was on the wall, that Sam would have been the first to go between the two of them if it came down to it.
This was the first time where I was like, oh, he got her. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because like you said, this isn't best for her game, and he somehow convinced her it was. That's masterful. That was a brushstroke of mastery. And then they're kind of discussing like, well, what if we do Andy? Like, I want to do Andy, says Sierra. And she brings up the fact that Sam has an idol, only good for tonight. He can only use it this tribal council. And if he uses it, Andy's going to learn about the idol and not trust him anymore, which would be bad for his game. So they go to tribal. Andy had a couple zingers in here. I'm sure one of these was one that you wanted to mention. Do you want to bring it up now?
Nope, because it wasn't necessarily during the community portion of tribal.
Okay. So I wrote down a couple Andy lines because, Jeff's going around trying to get feedback from people, just kind of bullshitting. Andy says, I've made so much headway, especially socially. And he kind of looks around like, right, guys? Right? And everyone's like, yeah. Good job, boy. Good job, boy. You're so good. Do you want head pats? Head scratches? Oh, my fuck. And he started to say, like, no one cares how good he is on a balance beam or how good he is at sawing. And Jeff cuts him off. It's like, your tribe cares.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sam's like, no, we fucking care. Like, why do you think we're here, you fucking idiot?
That's like, while we were watching, I was like, oh my God, is he trying to get himself voted out right now? Like, yeah, people care. No one wants to lose. You're literally here because you used a saw backwards.
Yeah, that could not be more literal.
Like, everything else was pretty even throughout the challenge, except for the fact that you buried your team by not understanding how saws work.
Yeah. Ever used a saw, you fucking AI? So again, he's like, well, that one didn't work. Reconfigure. Let me beep, beep, boop, beep, beep. And then he says, well, I think what's most important to my tribe is what I'm made of on the inside, and he likes what he sees. He's like, it's what matters is what's on the inside, and I like what I see. Everyone's just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So we're glad that Andy's proud of himself.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, one thing I noticed is like, one thing I thought about is if Sierra and Sam vote Andy, then they go into the merge, assuming it's soon, 4 strong, right? Because then you have the trust of Annika and Rachel. Meanwhile, if you betray one of them, if you just stick with Sierra and Andy, Sam only has 3 people now to vote with him, right? Because now Rachel's like, well, I don't fucking trust this guy or these people. So you're only going in, with a 3, and then the other person's going to fuck off and find someone else to vote with, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like, how strong are you? Because I don't think there's any semblance of trust between Sam and Annika, right? So, like, you're 4 strong, but how strong is that 4? Like, if I'm Sam, I'm thinking this girl's going to flip on me instantly. I'm worried that my number 1 has the potential to jump ship and roll with somebody else. So I don't know. regardless, somebody's leaving.
That's fair.
And would you rather bring along the AI who does whatever you tell them to do, or would you roll the dice with somebody who's a lot smarter, more sophisticated, and playing a long game?
No, that's a fair point. I mean, I guess I was just doing quick math, and I was like, well, like this doesn't give him all of the things, but you're right. He has the people that are most loyal to him. So I guess for Sam's game, probably is better.
Well, and okay, so Sierra's your number one, right? But Sierra didn't tell you about this alliance, whether it was fake or not. Like, even if it's not something she wants to consider, she should have told him. It, like, by not telling him, it leaves that door open to eventually trust it. And then if you lose Andy, then it is a potential 3-1 situation because Annika and Rachel are going to be tight and they're going to vote together. So all you have to do is sway one. So worst case scenario, if you go to tribal, you're going to rocks,
right?
Because your idol's gone at this point also. So, I mean, for Sam's game, and I hate to always just look at it through his lens, but I think he's one of the people that we're rooting for, whose game we respect. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to do anything other than Annika or Rachel, and I think Annika is the one that he's butted heads with.
Yeah, she has nagged him about how to cut ropes,
but not Andy, coincidentally.
No, who needed to know how to cut ropes?
Yeah.
So basically, Andy, this is the one. He says, as he writes down Annika's name, he says, "I've been burying you for the last 10 days. Here's your headstone."
Ah, that's it right there.
That's the one. He's so proud of himself.
Oh God, he probably thought about that all night. How am I going to deliver this line?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. but like, what did he do other than like plant that one seed right before tribal that like, I'm on the bottom. Tell me who to vote for.
Tell me who to vote for. Oh, it was Sam, like I thought.
He hasn't said anything else like inflammatory or working against her or pitting her in a position of disadvantage, but he had that bar ready.
He had that bar. He thinks this is his whole thing. Oh, actually, that comes up again later. He thinks this is his whole thing. But first, we see Annika write down Andy's name and says, well, she doesn't write anything down. She just said, I don't have a vote, but if I did, it would be you, Andy. I can't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff starts to read the votes. Sam does not play his idol. Smart. And then it goes Andy, Annika. And the next one voted out, Annika. She turns to everyone and is like, really?
Yeah.
She was feeling pretty confident.
Well, then she looked at Rachel like, was it you? And Rachel's like, no, dude, I'm clearly the only one who voted with you. How could you not do the math? There's only 5 of us here.
Yeah.
You didn't vote for yourself.
No.
You had one vote. Who's it going to be? The one person who you work with all the time? Or the 3 others?
And then she goes, who owns this? And Andy shoots his hand up like, yeah. But also so does Sam. Sam's like, yeah. And then that's when they're kind of like, oh, yeah, 3 votes. We had 3, so we all did it together. But both of them really wanted to claim that for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, they're already looking at like trophy moments when it comes down to that final tribal. I did find it interesting. Sierra's like, oh, shit, I don't want to be part of this. Like, yeah. But Andy's like, yeah, we did it together.
Who has 2 thumbs and voted Annika up? Fuck you. Oh man. So she just still can't believe it. She doesn't want to leave, but grabs her torch. Jeff snuffs her torch out. She kind of turns back to him expecting something, anything, and they're all like, bye. And she says, nah. And then leaves. Nah.
But really, yeah, she left.
But yeah.
Yeah. There's no nah. The game moves on without you.
And we see her go out crying. She held the cries until after she was out of eyesight of the people that voted her out. But yeah, goes home crying. And meanwhile, Andy never been happier. You see him shit-eating grin, ear to ear, holding his torch, going back to the camp, just like so proud of himself.
We did it.
He thinks he did the biggest move of the game.
Yeah. No, he's gonna get voted out real soon. I like now that there's no need to have a 3-1 advantage, you can have a 2-1 advantage. Like he's got to be the next to go. I would be terrified to go into the merge with him if I'm Sam or Sierra.
Yeah, he's too unpredictable. I mean, he's basically their version of Rome, right? He can flip on the dime, like literally can't trust him with any information.
Can't trust him in challenges. He's not athletic. He's not strong-willed. He's not charismatic. He doesn't make the most sound social decisions. Like I don't understand what benefit he is other than just being a number.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a loyal person that you can sort of predict his moves because I just genuinely don't think his mind is built for Survivor.
No.
And I was going to say, look, it's not that he's dumb, right? You're not dumb because you're bad at Survivor, but maybe your brain just doesn't work in the way that it needs to for this game.
I think there's just different types of intelligence too. Like if he's an AI researcher, he's probably got more book smarts than I have. Like he's probably able to, digest complex formulas and information and code and do all that other crap that makes no sense to me. I just see a bunch of ones and zeros. But he doesn't have the social intelligence that you need to play a game like this. This is a social experiment after all. And there are components of, physical prowess and, puzzle building. But like when you put it all together, he doesn't have the physical attributes. He may be good at puzzles. I don't think we've seen him really work a puzzle yet. He wasn't on this puzzle, was he? No, because he did the first leg.
He doesn't puzzle.
And
he doesn't up the physical.
Yeah, and he doesn't do the physical well. So he doesn't do the physical well. He doesn't do the social well. And we haven't seen him do something like a puzzle or like a memory game. So it's like I don't know. It's just I wouldn't want to compromise my own game by entrusting somebody else who can't show that they're able to deliver.
Let me ask you this. What type of Survivor do you think you'd be? Like, do you think you'd be good at puzzles? Do you think you'd be good at the games, like the physical stuff? Or is it more like the social? Like, what parts of the game you think you'd be best at?
That's a good question. I think I'm probably slightly below average athleticism. I don't know who Tin Can Applesauce is, but Jailbird beat stash greater than white collar rhymes. Anyways,
I don't know what that means.
He just got kicked off again. I'm going to answer the question and not panic, just as I did not last. I think if I were to be a Survivor player, my greatest attribute would just be that I genuinely seem to get along with everybody. And I think I'm smart enough to not say things that don't need to be said, but also be somebody that others could trust. Because I'm not like the greatest athlete. I've never done puzzles like that, so I have no idea how I'd be. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a puzzler. Like, I don't do a ton of Sudoku or any crossword. Have I? Sure, but I don't. It's not my passion. I think that I'm probably below average on athleticism now too in my old age. I feel like, especially the swimming shit is like, oh yeah, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm drowning instantly. Especially if there's anything we have to carry in the water. It's like, okay, just kill me now.
You're a pretty strong dude though. I think you'd be all right with that just because clearly you lift. I see those shoulders right now. But yeah, like I wouldn't have the endurance, especially not eating like they don't eat. Like I miss my ham sandwich at lunch and I am grouchy and I've got a headache. Like my bones hurt.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably pretty similar. I think you would do great socially. I think you might be probably more extroverted.
I feel like I know how to turn it on when I have to. Like that's just kind of my job basically, is to connect with people. And I feel like I would be able to hopefully connect with the people on the island that I'm stuck with, maybe make them laugh a little bit, and gain some trust building.
Do you may have mentioned this, but do you connect with Sam because you feel that you would be a similar player to Sam?
Sort of, yeah. I actually had a really good friend when I first moved to Portland that kind of looks exactly like Sam. It's fucking wild to me. But kind of everything that Sam is doing, I was like, I see my buddy doing. So it's less me and more like, oh, that's my buddy Nick. Like, oh, I fucking know that guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd probably be a little less, I don't want to say on the surface. Like it feels like that guy is like one step below just like owning it. Like I'm the king shit of this tribe. He's not quite doing that, but I still think he's kind of putting a target on his back a little bit instead of being like, hey, everybody, what do you think? And kind of making it feel more of a group thing.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest distinction between like where I would view my game versus where Sam views his is like I'm a big fan of asking questions to gain an understanding of where people are at and let that influence decision making a little bit. And again, that's something I have to do as a professional too, is like, not go in with predetermined thought, but like, okay, we're all sitting here together. What makes the most sense for everybody? Help me understand your position. And to your point, Sam is playing that game of the wolf in wolf's clothes, right? And so like this is very intentional on his part, but I do think there is something to gain from being a little bit more open-ended.
I agree. I think that would be the big difference for me as well. I love asking questions. I mean, that's exactly my nature as well. Is like, let's try to figure out where people are coming from so I can best figure out how to help them, how to connect, how to do whatever. First, you got to gain an understanding, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think in Survivor, going down that line of thinking also guides people toward their own answers. Like even if it's ultimately the answer you want them to get to, they feel empowered like they got there themselves. And I think that's a way to manipulate and control situations rather than just saying like the Rome approach, you're on the bottom. You shouldn't be looking for an idol because it looks bad on you.
That sucks. That's so bad.
Like, hey, right now, I just want to give you a heads up. You got 3 sets of eyes on you. What do you like? How can we help your game right now? Because I don't want you to feel like there's a target painted on you based on what you're doing and where you're looking. So like, what could we do to,
give me chills, DJB. I'm like, oh shit, I want to work with this guy. When are we going on Survivor, bro?
Oh gosh, Jeff, let us in. Oh, you know what? You blew it earlier with your audition. Hey, I forgot.
I did say I said I was gonna eat my castmate's arm.
Yeah.
That is what I said.
Slightly frowned upon.
I mean, but which one's worse? Just a little bit of arm or like a whole chicken?
I would rather have my castmate want to eat a chicken, which is meant for food in my world, versus an arm, which is meant for riding, playing sports, and driving.
Those are the 3?
Those
are the 3 uses?
Primarily, I don't know what else I really use my arms for. Riding, driving, and sports. I guess I hold things, but I have 2 arms I could hold with the other arm.
All right. Well, that has been episode 5 of season 47 Survivor. I think this one was a good one for the books. Finally, it feels like we are getting into the shit.
Yeah, you were gonna say the game is afoot. I know exactly where you're going.
I was gonna say that for you.
You old timey. Hey, but before we go, what's your prediction for next episode?
Oof. Next episode's so here's what's fucked up, DJB. Here's what's absolutely fucked up, beyond fucked up of all the fucked up fucks in the fucking world. I have my shit cut off because it's always on the recording, right? Hulu recording is how I watch the shit. It always cuts off before the next episode and before the confessional. So I think I saw like 10 seconds of maybe a merge. It looks like they're doing the merge next time.
Okay.
Did you get a chance to see either that or Annika's confessional?
I saw Annika's confessional. Basically, she was just weeping, saying, "I can't believe I was blindsided. I was so confident going in." I don't remember the promo for the next episode. I do want to caution you that we should not mention the HULU until they start paying us.
Streaming service unnamed.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Non-sponsors, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to be mentioned, streaming service, go ahead and pay us some money. But I think this is about the time the merge comes. So I think this is a 14 episode season, if I'm not mistaken. And this was just episode 5. So episode 6, we're about halfway through. This is typically around when the merge happens.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like from the preview, the merge is happening. People are jumping up, they're hugging each other. I think that this will be an interesting chance to see who actually is good at Survivor and who's just been surviving. Right?
Ooh, that's a bar.
Yeah, right? Like, who's good at Survivor and who's just been surviving because you haven't had to go to tribal council yet.
Yeah. I do want to just throw some kudos out to Tin Can Applesauce, who's been rocking with us since at least 10:02 when he wrote his first comment, "What's up with the beef?" And I had a feeling it was about the vegetarian discussion on the Survivor Sanctuary outing. But then he just wrote, "Wait, is this even about music?" No, it's about Survivor, which is a passion of two people who sometimes make music.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Hey. It's reversed.
Yeah, I know. I fucked it up the first time. Yeah, no, this is where we talk about each episode of Survivor because we follow along each week and can't not watch it.
Yeah.
Tin Can Applesauce says, "I was kicked from your server a while back." I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really care. I mean, I don't know what you did, but maybe you deserved it.
Probably something dumb, because honestly, as long as you're not talking about weird stuff, we're pretty cool in there.
I think you know what's up. I'm not sure who you are, sir. What happened? What did you do that made you get kicked? Do you want to talk about it? We got time.
And what are your Hulu connects? I mean, streaming service connects, because if we're not talking about money, I don't know what we're talking about.
The next live stream for music stuff is tomorrow. We're going to do the weekly review show. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not sure. I don't live and breathe in the lounge. I'm not sure what happens. But I will say that the next stream is tomorrow at typically around 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to pop in, drop some shit, and come say what's up. What's up, Loose? We are just logging off. We just had a full episode of Survivor Talk.
Maybe our longest one yet.
Tin Can, what is your name from the Discord? And I can look into this personally to see what might or might not have happened.
Wow, that is a really good personal touch. I think this is what distinguishes us from other Discords of rappers and survivalists. I'm not sure if that's the appropriate word, but oh boy, there's a lot coming in. Well, I don't think this is going anywhere fast. As much as
Yeah.
I want to read comments that other people aren't going to see in real time, I think this is probably the best time to end it.
This is
I
probably where we end it. Thanks for keeping us back on track, DJB.
I will give a personal shout out that it is the last high school girls flag football game of the season tomorrow for the JV that my wife and I coach. And the varsity is, last I checked, ranked number 11 in the nation. So
Woo!
pretty fun stuff.
Shout out 11th in the nation.
Yeah.
And damn them haters hating.
Bars.
All right. Well, for more bars, tune in tomorrow as we review user submitted music, 4:30 Pacific, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Holy shit, I hate the fact there's so many fucking time zones. And then tomorrow is also Survivor. So watch that shit. Watch Survivor episode 6, and we'll be back, me and DJB, next Sunday. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9 p.m. Pacific, to discuss Survivor. Thanks, everybody.